All right, let's just jump right in. The world of software engineering is in a really weird spot right now, isn't it? I mean, you've got AI that can basically write its own code, a completely unpredictable economy, and a whole new wave of developers coming into the field. So what in the world does this mean for your career over the next couple of years? That's what we're going to break down.
And this question, as, cynical as it is, really gets to the heart of the anxiety everyone's feeling right now. It perfectly captures that tension between human talent and what machines can do. It's the uncomfortable question that's kind of setting the stage for everything else we're about to talk about.
So to figure this all out, we're going to look at 6 key areas. We'll start with the people pipeline, how folks get into the industry. Then we'll hit the skills dilemma, what's actually valuable now. After that, how the job itself is changing, whether you should go deep or wide in your career, what this means for education, and then, the most important part, we'll wrap it all up with a roadmap for you for 2026.
Okay, first up, the people pipeline. The classic path. Get a junior job, learn the ropes, move up. That whole thing is looking a little shaky. The big question on everyone's mind is that entry-level door even going to stay open? And the data here, well, it paints a pretty stark picture. We're seeing big tech companies cut their hiring for new graduates in half. And on top of that, a Harvard study found that when companies start using generative AI, junior hiring drops by almost 10%. So this isn't just a vibe, right? It's a real measurable trend.
So this really points to 2 possible futures. On the one hand, you have the pessimistic view. AI automates all the easy stuff, the pipeline of new talent just dries up, and we end up with a huge leadership gap down the road. But, on the other hand, the optimistic view is that AI actually pushes software into completely new areas, think farming or healthcare, creating a ton of brand new, maybe different entry-level jobs.
Okay, so let's move on to our second big question, which follows from that, the skills dilemma. As AI writes more and more of the code, are we actually becoming better engineers, or are we just getting faster, trading real understanding for just raw speed?
And make no mistake, this is not a niche thing. A staggering 84% of developers are already using AI tools in their day-to-day work. For a lot of people, the first instinct isn't to open a file and start typing anymore, it's to write a good prompt. That's the new reality.
And this is giving rise to a new kind of role, what people are starting to call the high-leverage engineer. This is not the person who can type the fastest. It's the person who uses AI to blow through the easy 80% of the work so they can focus all their brain power on that really hard 20%. The tricky architecture, the complex design, the weird edge cases that AI just can't handle.
This quote just absolutely nails it. If everybody has an AI assistant, what makes you valuable? It's your judgment. It's having that deep knowledge to look at what the AI spits out and say, hang on a second, that's clever, but it's wrong. Which brings us right to our third point. The actual day-to-day job of software engineer is fundamentally changing. So, are we headed for a future where we're basically just auditors for AI? Or are we going to become something more, like orchestrators?
And this quote from an engineer really gets at the fear here. The worry is that the fun, creative part of building stuff gets replaced by the boring job of just cleaning up an AI's mess. Becoming less of a creator and more of a janitor.
So if we go down that auditor path, the job becomes really reactive. It's about reviewing code that an AI generated, checking it for bugs or security holes, and then just hitting the approve button. It's more about managing risk than it is about actually creating anything new.
But the orchestrator role? That's way more exciting. In this future, the developer is more like a composer or an architect. You're not writing every single note, but you are designing the whole symphony. You're deciding which AI tools to use for which parts and weaving it all together into one big, elegant solution.
So, given that the role is changing so much, what's the right career move? This leads us to question number 4. In this brand new world, is it safer to be a deep specialist or a broad generalist?
Well, the answer seems to be both. It's this idea of the T-shaped developer. It's pretty simple, really. The vertical bar of the T is your deep, expert-level knowledge in one thing. Maybe that's security, for example. But the horizontal bar is having a good, solid understanding of a whole bunch of other areas, like front-end, back-end, the cloud, and so on. And this really sets up 2 very different career paths. If you go too narrow and become a super specialist in just one thing, you're betting that that one thing doesn't get automated away. But that versatile, T-shaped person, they can adapt. They can be the glue that holds different parts of a team together because they can speak everyone's language.
Okay,
Last big question before we get to the roadmap. With everything changing so fast, is that traditional 4-year computer science degree still the golden ticket it used to be?
This number is pretty eye-opening. Nearly half of all companies are now saying they plan to drop degree requirements for at least some of their jobs. It's a massive shift away from caring about credentials to caring about skills. What you can do is starting to matter a whole lot more than where you went to school.
And this is happening because, let's be honest, traditional degrees can be slow. They sometimes get disconnected from what the industry actually needs right now. So in their place, you have this whole new world of faster, more practical options popping up. Boot camps, certifications, and maybe most importantly, a killer portfolio that shows what you've actually built.
All right. We've talked about the challenges, the big shifts, all the possibilities. Now for the most important part. What do you actually do about all this? Let's dive into a clear, actionable roadmap for the next 2 years. For those of you just starting out, your goal is to prove you can do what an AI can't. That means you need to be AI proficient, but not AI dependent. Build a portfolio, but make sure it shows you integrating AI into cool projects. Don't skip the fundamentals. They're more important than ever. Start building those T-shaped skills early and get some certifications to prove you've got the goods.
Now, for the senior engineers out there, the game is different. It's shifting from being an individual producer to being a force multiplier. Your value now comes from being the guardian of quality. You need to sharpen your skills in architecture and security, and really evolve from being a coder into that conductor role we talked about, mentoring others, leading the way, and making your whole team better.
So as we wrap this up, it really all boils down to this one question you have to ask yourself. In this new world, are you going to be a coder, someone who just executes tasks, or are you going to become a conductor, someone who orchestrates entire systems, people, and AI to build something truly great?
Ultimately, the future isn't something that just happens to us, right? It's something we build. And yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, but there's also a massive amount of opportunity. By thinking ahead, by never stopping learning, and by being willing to adapt, you don't just get ready for the future, you actually get to engineer it.